Hello friends, how are you doing? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Are you a student and you are tired of feeling overwhelmed with your studies? So in today's video, I want to share my 4 top study tips that I use while studying that can help to increase your effectiveness in your studies and to also boost your grades. So I need you to like this video, click the subscription button, and let's get started. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Daniel Adekeye, and on this YouTube channel, I create educational and personal development videos that can help to increase our overall effectiveness as a student or a young professional. So you're in the right channel and it's going to worth your time. So I said in today's video, I'll be sharing my 4 top study tips that I use while studying and improves my effectiveness. Active recall is a time that is scheduled to recall the things that you have read earlier. So probably you went through a particular topic maybe the day before or the early hours of a particular day. You must also create a time to actually try to recall the things that you have read. So your study should not only be limited to the actual time that you spend reading. Your study also extends to creating time, probably while you are doing some other things, probably before you go to bed. You just try and recall or bring back to your memory the things that you have actually read. And this is something that you have to do repeatedly, not just once. At each available time that you have to yourself, you try to recall the things that you have read. Now, this will help these things that you have read to stick better to your memory. And that's what I call active recall. It's a mistake that a lot of students make. They just read their book, and when they are done reading, they forget about whatever they've read. But if you can create time to actually recall the things that you have read earlier, it helps those things to stick better to your memory. So that is the first tip that I use while studying, and it has really helped me to increase my level of effectiveness. And while you are trying to recall these things, immediately you discover that there are some aspects that you are unable to recall, then you can go back to your notes and check them out immediately. Now this also means that while you are studying, you should try and jot down the important points. You should try and write the things that you are reading so that while you are trying to recall them later the day and it seems as if you've forgotten some part of it, you can immediately go back to your notes and actually check. This thing now will stick better to your brain. Okay, so that takes me to study tip number 2, which is note-taking and chunking. Now, the importance of note-taking can never be overemphasized, because most times when I see students read without actually jotting or putting down notes while reading, most times I'm taken aback because I don't know how they do it sincerely. Because for me, anytime I want to read, I take it of utmost importance to take notes down while reading. Now this is because taking down these notes helps to better assimilate the things that you are reading. So while your eyes is seeing them, your hands are also writing them. So you're able to assimilate much better than someone that is just reading without taking down notes. Now, chunking is being able to break down large amounts of information into smaller bits in a way that you're able to understand them better. Sometimes most of these textbooks that we read can be so complex most times that when we read them and we get to understand them, we must be able to break down the information into smaller bits, into understandable bits in our own words. And when we put it down in these smaller bits now, we are able to revise over our notes and better understand the concept. So that is why it is important to always take notes while studying. So oftentimes when you have an organized note, by the time you want to go back to revise the topic, you don't have to go back to the textbook and start reading all the complex thing again. You just have to go to your notepad where you have written down the important points, and then you're able to go over them and revise. This also extends to the use of abbreviations, of mnemonics, and the like. It's all about taking note of important things, breaking them down into smaller bits that we're able to understand, and then keeping them organized in such a way that we can always go back to them to revise and get to understand the concept better. So this is the second study tip that I usually use while studying and has greatly helped to improve my effectiveness.
Okay, so study tip number 3 that I usually use and I also encourage every student to use is what is referred to as the Pomodoro's technique. It's a very common technique. You might have probably heard of it before, or probably this is your first time hearing about it. So what do I mean by the Pomodoro's technique? It's a reading technique that requires taking a 5-minute break after every 25 minutes of studying. You add that right, a 5-minute break after every 25 minutes of studying. Now what this technique is mainly emphasizing is that it is usually good when we take breaks in between studying. This helps us to be better effective. Take for example, if you are reading and then you've read for an hour stretch, you agree with me that your level of assimilation will probably start coming down because the brain is being stressed the more, especially if you are reading from a white screen, sincerely. So it's usually important that we set in short breaks in between our reading. And then the Pomodoro's technique also emphasizes that we shouldn't reward ourselves with too long or too much breaks, because most times when we read for very long hours and our brain is stressed, at the end of the day we end up taking too much break than necessary. You know, the popular thing that they call TDB, I know you know about it in most of your schools, called till day break. That's how we call it in my own school. So TDB is simply going to class and reading from night till morning. But one thing I got to understand about TDB is that most people, after going for this TDB, the next day now, they are usually not productive. You go for TDB and then the next morning, they probably sleep throughout the day. So the question now is, what's the importance of the TDB when it prevents you from being productive the next day? So that's where the Pomodoro's technique comes in, knowing when to take break when necessary. So we read 25 minutes, we take 5 minutes break, we go another 25 minutes, we take 5 minutes break. You can decide to modify it, of course. It's not rigidly 25 minutes. You can read 30 minutes, take 5 minutes or 10 minutes break, then go another 30 minutes. So when we do this, it prevents us from stressing out ourselves and breaking down at the long run. Because when we overstress ourselves, we end up breaking down. We get to a point where we are unable to assimilate at all, and it tends to reduce our productivity. But with the Pomodoro's technique, we are able to schedule breaks in between our studying, and sincerely, if you can use this method, it will greatly increase the level with which you assimilate while study tip number 4, which is actually the last one for this video, but definitely not the least because it's very, very important. This is group study and group discussion. Study group discussions is very, very important. You know, I've interacted with a lot of students and they believe they are enough for themselves and they can read and understand for themselves. So they don't see the need to waste time, in quotes. They probably think they are wasting time whenever they gather with other students of like minds to discuss the things that they have read. But I get to understand that having study group discussion is a very important tip to increasing our effectiveness in our studies. Now, this is not just wasting time, sincerely. Study group discussion is not usually a waste of time, especially if you are doing it with the right set of people. So if you have a study group where you have about 3 to 4 or 5 like-minded students that are serious with their studies, and then you've taken time to read individually on a particular subject or topic, and then you're able to come together at a specific time to discuss on the things that you have read individually. Now, what this does is that for you as a person, there's no way you would read a particular topic and you'll be able to absorb 100% of everything in that topic. Sincerely, it's impossible. Or even if you can manage to absorb 100%, we understand from different perspectives. We use different study materials while studying. So what group discussion affords us is that when we come together to discuss on what we've read, you are able to tap into the knowledge of others. So probably while studying, I used Kate Moore, and then you used any other textbook of your choice, and then we come together to discuss. I'm able to explain things from the perspective of the study material that I've used, and you're able to explain things from the perspective of your own study material. So at the long run, I'm able to tap into the knowledge of every other person in the study group, and I'm able to gain one thing or the other from them. Now, another thing is when we discuss in study groups, when you are asked a particular question and probably you are unable to do justice to it, you're unable to give the right answer to that question, and then there's another person in the study group that is actually able to explain in details the answer to the question. What happens is that that answer now will stick better to your brain than what you actually read all by yourself. So most time when we get to examination halls and we see a particular question, we tend to remember when that particular question was discussed in our study groups. That's because group discussions, the things we gain from these group discussions tends to register better in our brain than the things that we read by ourselves. So if you really want to increase your effectiveness in your studies, then you must find a group of like-minded people that you can always meet together to discuss on the things that you have read. And trust me, you'll be surprised by how much this technique will be helpful towards your studies and academics. So with that, I have come to the end of this video. I've successfully shared with us the 4 top study tips that I use that helps to increase my effectiveness. 1 is active recall, 2 is note-taking and chunking, 3 is the Pomodoro's technique, and the last one I talked about is the study group discussion. So I encourage you henceforth to start using these techniques, these tips while you study, and watch your grades go higher than you would ever expect or imagine. So once again, my name is Shegun Daniel Adekeye. I want to encourage you, if you are yet to subscribe to this YouTube channel, do well to click the subscription button and also click the notification bell so that you can receive videos, or you can receive notifications rather, when we drop new videos. Like this video and also share it to your loved ones, share it to your co-students, your course mates, your friends that can also gain one thing or the other from this video. Thank you. Till the next video.